Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade.
And I'm Joe.
And we're here to talk about a De Palma film. We haven't talked about De Palma since Blowout. We're here to talk about Carrie. I'm just kidding. We're here to talk about Phantom of the Paradise. And no, I'm just kidding. We're here to talk about The Untouchables. No, I'm just kidding. We're here to talk about Scarface. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Dress to Kill from 1980. Starring Michael Caine, Nancy Allen, our producer is laughing at that joke. Angie Dickinson. It's maybe the most erotic film we've done on Criterion Connection.
Yeah, literally the genre is erotic thriller.
Yeah, and maybe the horniest.
It's a
since Salo.
It's a pulp magazine come to life.
Yes.
But yeah, it's one of those films that De Palma is really known for, outside of like Scarface and Carrie. This is one of those ones that really kind of cemented his spot as a filmmaker, kind of
we did
front and center.
This is the third one we did. We also did Sisters.
Yes, we did.
Which is Sisters is more in line of Dress to Kill than Blowout is. Blowout does have Nancy Allen in it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's funny. I talked about this film on a different medium. We talked about this on Child of the Month Club. Diana, who's been on our show before, about this film back in 2020 when before the pandemic started.
Wow!
Right before
the before time.
The before time. So it's a Giallo film-esque. It's very Hitchcockian at times, especially with the 30-minute mark. You know how like the actress you think is the star of the movie. Spoilers, is not the star of the film and gets pretty much offed in the first 30 minutes, like Psycho.
Yeah,
like Scream.
This film, coming back to it because I had seen it a long time ago as well. Coming back to it and just seeing I'm like, no, this is Psycho.
Yeah,
this is pretty much a remake of Psycho. It's better than the actual Psycho remake.
The NH one.
Yeah. But it's one of those films that's got a lot of really interesting things going on. The problem is it doesn't age super well. There's a lot of very suspect things in it, so it's hard to kind of for me to talk about, kind of the depiction of transgender people, of mentally ill people. But it's this whole, if you guys don't know, the plot is essentially, we follow Angie Dickinson's character, who's in a loveless marriage in the very beginning. There's just no spark. There's no...
Which is great, because it starts with a dream sequence, where it's like, oh, it's such a romantic, perfect, kind of erotic
and it turns
thing.
Into a nightmare.
And then, in real life, she's having the most awkward sex of all time.
Yeah, and it's just like... We're following her, and then she goes and sees her therapist, played by Michael Caine, and he encourages her to communicate it with her partner. He encourages her to kind of deal with it in a fairly healthy fashion, but then she's kind of tries to seduce him, and is goading him into being supportive to the point of being trying to cross that line, and it's just something that he's not going to do, and he just kind of he tries to negotiate his way out of it, essentially.
Yeah.
So she goes to a museum and is just kind of walking around, and then kind of finds a potential suitor that she tries to lure, and she leaves a glove behind. And
the glove.
Yeah, the glove. And they end up, he follows her passionately, starts getting down and dirty in the taxi. This is what she wants. This is the fire, the passion she's looking for. Take it back to his place, right? And we do the dirty.
Ooh.
She's cleaning up. She's She's putting her clothes back on, putting her jacket, her jewelry, and then Department of the Health, what's this? And finds out that this man has been told to report to the Department of Health, like, clinic, because he has venereal diseases, if that doesn't date this movie enough.
Oh my God.
And she panics, rushes out, forgets her wedding ring. And when she goes back, she gets killed. And
brutally.
Yeah. So at this point,
the 30 minutes in the movie,
I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
I am not enjoying this movie. It's fine. It's just,
yeah.
you're just like, okay, it's this woman who has this libido that's not being satisfied. Okay. Then we get to the interesting stuff.
Middle-aged me, you know.
Then we get to the interesting stuff, which again it can be problematic depending on how you look at it. I look at it as, we can get into that later. I don't want to spoil it yet.
Yeah. Once you get to Nancy Allen, that's where the movie really picks up.
Nancy Allen witnesses, she sees the body in the elevator, and then up in the convex mirror, she sees the killer. And then, boom! That's the lit fuse for this movie. This is where the movie picks up.
Yeah.
And
it's all preamble. It's a pregame.
Yeah.
We get pre-show, and then you get to the real show.
Yeah, we get the phone call to Michael Caine's office, where one of his former patients is talking about how they were bad, and they made somebody pay, and now the girl who saw it's going to pay. And it's this veiled threat of violence. And Michael Caine's trying to track this person down and trying to stop this from escalating. But the thing that makes it rough is that this is a transgender person being portrayed as, you know, mentally ill. And they're the only transgender person that I remember seeing in the movie. So the representation is just not great.
Yeah.
But there's things that I like from this film, where
the subway scene.
The subway scene's
That's
really good.
so good.
It's such a interesting, like, understated chase scene that ends with a great, like, jump scare.
Yeah.
Horror movies can really borrow from that if they ever wanted to.
Actually, I watched Scream 6.
Oh, did they?
And it has a New York subway scene with a lot of people wearing the ghost face masks. It's in the trailer, so it's not really spoiling much, but subways are scary.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yeah, and it becomes a really interesting kind of character study for what becomes, it's Bobby and Michael Caine's characters. You can see hints of this, maybe like almost like the cat and mouse in Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
But this one's got a little interesting nuance that we will start talking about now. This is a spoiler.
Big spoiler for the film.
The killer is Michael Caine.
Oh! Michael Caine.
Yeah, so here's where I kind of, like, with this interesting character is, he's a psychiatrist who has this buried personality of Bobby, who is a transgender, was it male to female?
Yes.
And this person's very disturbed. This personality is very disturbed. Because Michael Caine's character, very logical, very
the opposite.
astute. Yeah, very much the opposite. And I think it's a very interesting duality element in the film. Is it done?
That De Palma loves dualities.
Yeah. Is it done the best? Debatable. But, you bring that De Palma, like, I'm going to slightly move the camera flare where he's tracking shots all the time. And it's just a really interesting kind of devolution of this mystery that unravels. And then, they put Michael Caine back in the asylum or the mental hospital, or I don't remember exactly how they called it. But that whole... the end of the movie, the last like hour 15 is really where the money in this movie's made.
It's where you see where people really look to this movie as like a very important movie from 1980,
Mm-hmm.
hard for thriller and
Mm-hmm.
giallo and murder mystery
Yeah.
and slasher too.
Yes.
There's the score by Pino Donaggio is really a really highlight for this film too.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Allen's performance is great. Angie Dickinson's fine too. Michael Caine, of course, is Michael Caine. I see what you mean. You gotta watch this movie in like 1980 lenses.
That's the problem with some of these, is that they're very much captured moments of time, and things aren't really that great for the way things were represented at the time for communities that weren't very highlighted and were underrepresented and constantly marginalized. It's just there's good things to take out of this, but it's like one of those things where I gotta swallow that bitter pill of like, I gotta get over this in order to allow myself to enjoy the film.
Yeah.
But other than that aspect, and that's why I really compartmentalize it and go like, this is an interesting character who has an alternate personality deep buried within them that's coming out, that's very disturbed. And it's not because of that aspect of them. That's just an aspect of them.
Yeah, it's more of the to me, the twist, I guess. I always viewed it as they have a different personality. That just so happens to be transgender.
Right. That's kind of how I have to look at it.
There's transgender personality. No, it's more of it's just they have a split personality, and it just so happens to be. And that's more of, I think the transgender thing is more of a red herring kind of thing, because the character has like long blonde hair and stuff like that. It's more of the idea of like it's a female.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just want to add an extra subversion to the expectation. Which is Psycho.
Yeah, and it is borrowing from Psycho, where
but there's a different element. In Psycho, Norman Bates is his mother.
Yeah.
This one is a different character that just happens to be transgender. There's another layer to it.
It's like, I'm not completely stealing from Psycho, but I'm stealing from Psycho because I'm a huge Hitchcock fan.
His song goes din 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 din, and then this song goes din 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 din. It's a little ting.
Yeah, it's a decent movie. It's not an all-time classic, in my opinion. I think there's better De Palma films.
There's better De Palma films. There's better Giallo films. Mm-hmm. There's if you want a better Giallo film, I'd say Deep Red.
Easy.
Deep Red. That is, I think that would be a good kind of if you want to watch something that's a little bit higher level, that's not Psycho, I'd say Deep Red. But
I think this is a very important movie because this is big mainstream. Erotic thrillers become the thing after this. You get all of these other classic erotic thrillers, as they call them, after this movie gets made. So I think it's an influential movie. I think it's a decent movie. But I still think that there's better in the catalog, both of Brian De Palma and the genre.
Yeah. So, Joe, would you recommend this film to the general audience?
Here's what I'm struggling with, Wade.
Okay.
I know there's better. But
we're talking about this film in particular.
But this film, I'm going to say no.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say no on this one.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's out there. You can see it. It'll be on Cinemax or whatever. But I just can't do it. That first half hour, doesn't bait me into the movie.
Okay.
It doesn't do it for me. But the last hour 15 minutes, I think is great. If the movie was that, I'd say yes all day long. But that first half hour, I was really tuned out.
I think I'd say yes. The first half hour did not bother me as much. Mm. I see what you mean, but I think It's hard to remember when I first watched it how much I did not, if I didn't like it or not. I don't remember if I did or not. But looking back at watching it again with the different, with the knowing where it's going to go, it doesn't bother me as much. I'd still recommend it. I wouldn't say it's an all-time great. It's not like a must-watch. It's not in the top 5 De Palma films.
Yeah.
It may be top 10. But like it's not definitely top. It's not Carrie.
No.
It's not Untouchables. It's not Scarface. It's not Sisters. It's not Blowout. Definitely not Blowout.
Yeah.
It's not other films he's done. It's not Phantom of the Paradise. I still think Phantom of the Paradise is better for beef alone. Yeah. So I mean, it's worth watching. I guess
it's
a movie that you'll watch it and you may love it or you may think it's okay. Or you may hate it. It's a good watch. Just watch once.
Yeah, I guess in a way to amend and put a footnote on what my no is, the big asterisk here is, it's fine. It's a fine watch. I'm not gonna, condemn you for watching it. But at the same time, like
you will condemn them for watching it.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna go out of my way and say you need to watch Dress to Kill.
Yeah.
This is going to be way down on my list before I get to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay. I mean, it's fair.
But I guess in a way, yeah, I could.
I try narrowing it down to I'm just talking about this film. And no other film exists in the world. Just this film.
It's hard, man.
It's hard. What's your thoughts on Dress to Kill? Let us know in the comments section below. What do you think about this film? What's another Brian De Palma film that we have? I think that we've done all the De Palma films that are in the Criterion collection, maybe. I feel like we have. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. Is there a De Palma film that you think should be in the Criterion collection? Not the connection. The collection.
But if it's in the collection, it could be on the connection.
Yeah, and you can, I said volunteer. You can also suggest other films that we should do on this show. It's been like kind of busy few months of you and me, so that's why there's not been many Criterions. But this summer we'll have more Criterions. I already have some that are going to be really fun movies I've never seen. I'll give a hint. Down the road, we're going to do Being John Malkovich. Never seen it. Know nothing about it. I saw it on like one of those streaming services. I'm like, I want to watch that. And that might be a movie we do in the future. I want to do more Japanese noir films.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I don't think we've done many of them. We have not done High and Low. We haven't done a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, there's so much. So suggest, make it easier for us. Because there's so many movies. There's like 1,000 movies we have to watch. So, until next time, I'm Wade.
And I'm still Joe.
And we'll see you later.